More than 50% of people want to become entrepreneurs because they want to become their own boss, to earn more money, and to have time flexibility. I've always wanted to build my own thing, to contribute and to give impact to the world I'm living in. So I guess I'm part of the statistics, right? But why are there only a few who's able to achieve this dream? In this episode, I'll share my own struggles, my realizations, and what I believe I should be doing moving forward. My first struggle are distractions. It basically means doing other things that delays me in achieving my goals. Social media scrolling is at the top. I'm sure most of you can relate to that. I just have to put my phone aside and maybe let's talk more about that next time. Instead, I'll focus on the other common things that demand my attention, either from work or life in general. In my previous 9 to 5 as a software dev and test engineer turned product manager, my work would always get in my way from my dreams. I always get a new task, a new project, or a new mission. When one completes, another one gets in. It's just endless. Some of these were given or someone asked me, but mostly I committed them myself as I feel my role is expecting me to do it. In accomplishing the goal, there are really times when I go into a flow state. That's great, right? But after many years in my 9 to 5, this pattern moves me farther and farther away from starting or pursuing my own thing. My dream of building something gets constantly just parked. And apart from work, life will always get in my way. Even now that I'm out of my 9 to 5, situations where responsibilities with my family will always require time and attention. Not to mention, there's just an unlimited amount of things to do in the house. Repairs in the bathroom, kitchen, electrical, you name it. And of course, car maintenance. And without me noticing it, I've been busy with a lot of things, but not really related to the goal I wanted to do. And so I asked myself, why am I like this? So I came across a psychological mechanism called the Zeigarnik effect. It came from the psychologist Bluma Zeigarnik. It's a mechanism where people tend to remember and feel tension about unfinished tasks more than the finished ones. It's like there's always a mental itch to complete an unfinished task. So this made me realize that accomplishing unfinished tasks is a universal aspect of all human beings, meaning we're just being human. When we say yes to something and it's unfinished, we're highly likely to remember these unfinished tasks. Furthermore, the Zeigarnik effect differs by culture and how strongly the obligation is felt and why. There's the collective cultures and the individualistic cultures. Collective cultures are evident from people in Eastern countries. This means that their mental itch to complete an obligation is driven by group harmony and fulfilling roles in the community. Individualistic cultures are evident from people in Western countries. This means that their mental itch is driven by self-integrity and self-expression. And as an Asian, a Filipino, I'm more compelled to do obligations to fulfill a role in the family and community. But just starting to be aware of why we act and feel the way we do in unfinished tasks can give us an opportunity to redirect our attention to something that's geared towards our goal. So how do I not get distracted and complete tasks that would move me toward my goal? Can I use the Zeigarnik effect in my favor? I believe I can create an open loop and induce that mental itch to nag me in completing an unfinished task towards a bigger goal. I've experienced this many times before. I'm just not aware of it. So my plan for me to keep moving forward is to find the time to start building piece by piece. My early mornings are really conducive for me to extract ideas. Or sometimes squeezing in time at night after a day's work helps. Whatever time works, I just take it and start. Let's take my outlining, scripting, and creating this episode as an example. I literally set a deadline for the task. As a PM, I've learned that nothing completes without setting a deadline. Then I find or squeeze in a time in each day to start writing. Because beginning a task is enough to trigger tension. I dump all my ideas in my notes because this offloads the micro tension while retaining starting the bigger one. I create a structure, add a few lines that I don't intend to finish in a day. Stopping midway, especially with an open line, triggers that mental itch. I then rest and set a mini goal for the next day. Adding a micro task adds up to the tension. Intentionally creating this made me realize this psychological mechanism has been nagging me in my past work. So be careful though if you follow this. The mental tension could cause stress and burnout as I had in the past. The solution I have implemented to myself before is to set a minimum viable output in a day. But let's reserve that for another episode. What's more important is that you decided to find time to start, because not everyone even had the courage to start. My second struggle I've experienced is the feeling of the lack in capital. In the Gallup's study, 45% of owners are leveraging their personal savings for their business, while aspiring entrepreneurs state that the lack of capital is their highest barrier to start a business. Back in my 9 to 5, I also felt the lack in capital to start. And to get more funding, I performed more so I can ask for more, like asking for a raise or a promotion. But that usually means more and bigger work. As responsibilities grew bigger, so is the pressure to make quick and accurate decisions on time. With managing multiple dependencies and unknowns, stress began to pile up. To manage the stress, I would either spend for a weekend getaway, buy more food and stress eating at home, or gadgets to keep me company and divert my attention to do something else. Later on, I realized I wasn't able to save enough. Despite that, I was still able to start a few small businesses like farming, food processing, short-term lending, mini convenience store, and now partnered in a solar energy contracting. I also got myself in a few side hustles in other software projects and life insurance business. Though I failed in most of these endeavors, with only a few still ongoing, I really learned a lot in the journey. I realized that it's not just my capital that's limited, my energy and my time are limited too. So what would I do next that doesn't require a lot of capital to start? Where can I spend my time and energy to? Here's a few ideas that I'm thinking based from what I currently know. Online freelancing and skills-based businesses. These are methods that leverage my current skills and offer them directly to clients. Taking account of my skills and knowledge, I have not yet decided on a particular path, but I'm determined that I'll find or define one soon. The advantage I see on this path is the no additional spending. The capital needed is close to none, considering I have a laptop, phone, and internet. Second idea is leveraging partnerships. Back in my food processing small business, I partnered with people to help me market and sell our canned oyster mushroom product. This method helped increase my product visibility and repeat orders. And I've helped those that resell my products with a 20% commission. I've also partnered in a food cart business with a team of 7. All of these got shut down in the pandemic, unfortunately. The advantages I see with partnerships are it's less capital exposure because the cost and risk are spread out between the members of the group. You'd get trust-based marketing for sales because word of mouth from partners are an easy win from people they know. And thirdly, you'll get outright sales as a reseller because you don't need to create the product yourself to earn. In a way, you won't expose any capital. My third idea is starting a YouTube channel. My purpose is to document my whole journey, to develop my skills in creating digital assets such as this one, leading by example, and adding value to help even just one person out there. And then I'll figure out what's next. Maybe build a product or a service. I don't know yet because I'm yet to discover that. All in all, for people like me who felt a lack in capital, I realized that it's not about the amount of capital you have, but it's the wisdom to strategically manage what's available to you right now. Hello, my friend. I really appreciate you spending your time in this episode. I'm curious, what brought you here? Are you already running a business or are you planning to start one? I welcome any ideas that you have, or if there's anything that you can add, please write them in the comment section below. I'll make sure to reply to them. My third struggle is that I was battling my own fears. One is the fear of failure. I was constantly bothered with the thought of, what if I fail and run out of money? In the Gallup study, aspiring entrepreneurs state that personal financial risk into business is the second highest barrier for them to start. Another fear is the fear of criticism. That lingering thought that says, what would my friends say about me? It's that exaggerated voice inside my head that questions every move I attempt. And of course, self-doubt. Seeing people online building creating, and earning, I can't avoid comparing where I am now with what these guys have accomplished. I feel so far away from where I want to go. With the frameworks, blueprints, and products they've created, it's easy to invalidate my own ideas. And so I would lose momentum and confidence. The imposter syndrome comes out and suddenly drives the wheel. So how do I overcome these fears? Some of these ideas were hard to swallow at start, but these are the simple ideas that I applied and will continue to apply to myself. To conquer the fear of failure is just to learn embracing failures. Imagine when you were a kid, you get hurt, you cry, and you still stood up. Then you play again, carrying the scars with you with a smile. Understand that failure is just part of growth. You have to fail to grow. It's just part of the laws of nature. So we can build the skill of resilience over time. To conquer the fear of criticism is to expect criticism. When I receive criticism, I have to tell myself that it just means I'm doing something that grabs attention. Or I may have done something out of the norm or created something significant. Oftentimes, people criticize, especially harsh ones, to project their own insecurities onto you because you reminded them of their own unfulfilled goals, fears, and their own doubts. The criticism is not truly about you. It's basically their discomfort in seeing their own deficiencies that you have conquered. However, if the criticism does hurt you, then I would think of this. Hurt people. This shifts my thoughts to be more kind and understanding. People will always have opinions and we don't have control over them. And anyway, they were never meant to clap for you from the beginning. Instead, I focus on that one person I meant to help. This then leads me on conquering self-doubt. This comes out when you start to compare yourself with others' achievement. If you can't help but need to check on people online, be more observant of yourself instead. Learn how they overcome their own struggles. Do not look at who they have become today. I use that information to get ideas on how I can solve my own struggles. Just don't compare their journey with your own journey. I believe each one of us is exactly where we need to be because you can never play the role of another person and they can never ever play your role. So stick to your lane and just keep moving forward. Here's a small activity. Imagine this. You once admired someone before, like in high school. You said you'd want to achieve something similar, be it your basketball player idol, an amazing colleague, a friend, or a businessman. Then you just kept imitating what they do with your own little twists. Later on, you found yourself not achieving and becoming that person. Instead, you become your own version of that identity. As to me, I've been pushing myself to create purposeful content online. So creating content, despite the inconsistencies for now, is my way of closing that gap to the version I want to see for myself. And the last struggle I'll share is finding clarity. I ask these questions. What will I be creating or building? Will it be a product or a service? I've already failed many times before. Where will I start? I can't just build a business if I don't know what I'm selling, right? In the Gallup study, 60% of owners are leveraging their prior work experiences for their business. So does this mean I need to build something as a software engineer or product manager? I realized that prior work experience doesn't just mean boxing myself into that same role, but it's those encompassing skills that enabled me to do my previous job. For example, timeline management, impactful presentation, communication, active listening, requirements gathering, collaborating, problem solving, and many more are the skills that I have developed over the years, apart from my technical skills. And with those skills and experiences, I was able to perform the role that was given to me. Playing the role and achieving its mission was the problem, and the solution were my skills. So then, what will I build is the wrong question to ask. I believe the real question to ask is this: what problems am I willing to solve, and to whom that I deeply care will I solve it for? These are supposedly the questions that I need to ask myself first to become an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship at the fundamental level is solving people's problems, identifying problems, seeing the gap, and creating solutions that takes away the pains. And those people are willing to exchange money for what you have created. I further realized entrepreneurship is a learnable skill and a mindset. As a matter of fact, you have solved multiple problems before, right? You just haven't taken much credit to yourself with those. Now, once you've identified the problem, you have a small idea on how to solve it. The biggest differentiating factor is taking action to validate the idea. That's why I created this episode, for me to start taking action, that I may start helping the past version of myself and you who's still here up until now, to share with you what I've realized and to help you surpass this stage quicker. I am yet to pave my path. I'm still searching and deciding for a problem to solve, but I know it's my my own problem I'll continue to uncover. To summarize this episode, first is distractions are unlimited, and so take advantage of the Zeigarnik effect to induce tension in completing unfinished tasks to your identified milestones. You just need to find a time that works, set a deadline, and start creating, intentionally stopping midway to induce tension. Second is, it's not really just about limited capital, time, or energy, but it's more about having the wisdom to strategically manage what's available to you so you can start taking steps towards your goal. Third is, embrace failure as part of growth. Expect criticism as a confirmation feedback, and remember that you are the only person who can best play the role of being you, so stick to your own lane for growth. And lastly, don't start with a business idea. Identify what problems you'd like to solve first. This gives you clarity on what business to start building. And finally, I'll leave you with this question. Imagine your 65-year-old version with unmet dreams and unclosed what ifs because your current self didn't try to take action. If you had the chance to talk with your current self, what would you tell your current self? That's it for this episode. Thank you very much for spending your time with me. Let me know how you like this content or how you do not like this content, whatever. Leave a comment. I'll make sure to reply to them. And again, thank you for joining me in this journey. Like and subscribe for more. Bye for now.